What's going on, traders? Yes, we're going to get into a great interview today. We got E2. Do you see that product back here? You just might want to find out about it. Also, stay tuned, guys. We're going to do the monthly SPAC chart review. We'll start taking a look at these monthly candles that closed. Now we're in September. What's going to happen? A brand new month, brand new opportunities. You guys smash that like button and welcome to the SPACs Attack. What's going on, traders? Yes, welcome to the one and only the SPACs Attack. You got it. Let me bring on my man, the brain to this show. Y'all might know him as Chris Ketchy, but he's really should be only known as the Chrisopedia. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother? Yeah, couple days off. I got to say I enjoyed Benzinga's crypto festival that we had over the last 2 days. We got some background information on a couple cryptocurrencies, some cryptocurrency companies that are private, and also some publicly traded cryptocurrency companies. I enjoyed watching that behind the scenes and getting some more insight on that industry. But happy to be back today, SPACs Attack. What did you think of that festival, Mitch?
Well, the festival, at the end of the day, what I learned is that, man, why don't I have crypto in my IRA account? That's one thing I definitely took a look at. Even if it wasn't a lot, I think I should have definitely been getting crypto a year or two ago when it was on that downturn. And now it's kind of, hindsight 2020. But you always got to be looking at opportunities to invest. And this is what SPACs are all about, is looking towards the year or two after when you're going to go ahead and take these stocks, right? Same thing like in the crypto, we had that ramp, right? Then there was a period of down period, and then it ramped back up. I know, like you, Chris, I don't want to miss that next ramp up in SPACs. That's why we do this show right here on Benzinga. So you guys out there, if you guys appreciate us going through this and looking at the long-term investments, you guys smash the like and support us. Now, one question that I have for you right here from the chat that we'll go ahead and knock out really quickly here, but it's a good question. I didn't even know this was part of a SPAC, and I'll tell you why. It's interesting to me, but first I'll let Chris try to answer the question. Chris, Sonder Hospitality, do you know about this one?
Yeah, so Sonder Hospitality recently announced a deal. GMII is the ticker. This is a Gores Metropolis SPAC. Gores, of course, one of the well-known SPAC sponsors out there. Values the company $2.2 billion. Sonder has 300 properties across 35 markets in 8 countries. So they work with property owners to offer rentals to customers on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So revenue $116 million in fiscal 2020. They expected to hit $173 million in 2021 and $4 billion by 2025. So you see that huge jump, right? 173 to 4 billion over 4 years. That's due really, in fact, to the pandemic, right? So, you're not seeing travel really come all the way back up yet. This is a company that depends on travel, to really get their revenue going. So for that reason, you ask, is it a great company? It's a longer term outlook for me, right? It's more of a post-pandemic play. And I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods yet for travel being fully recovered. So that would be my take on Sonder. As far as the other one goes, LOKB, Novartis, I don't know that one as well. I know it's semiconductor. That is one that I will look into and we can talk about on a future show. I think that's a great, sector that we could look at, Mitch. Some of these chip and semiconductor companies going public via SPAC. So, we've talked EV before, we've talked LiDAR before. Maybe that can be the new topic going forward. So shout out to Jason in the chat, getting those questions in early. We see you. we're more than happy to hit on those questions. So keep them coming.
Yeah, and now I can tell at least my anecdote story here. I mean, at the end of the day, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because guess where I'm staying in Detroit? Asunder. Hey, so hey, there you have it. There, I didn't expect to see that in the chat, so I was like, "What? Oh, okay." Hey, I'll be checking out one of these locations themselves. So who knows? Maybe I'll give some feedback when I get back or next week on the show. Like always, guys, smash the thumbs up. We do everything here on SPACs, whether it be talking about the ones that you bring up in the chat or stocks that stand out to us. Like always, we get through the headlines first. So let's go ahead and throw it back there, Chris. Take us back to those headlines.
All right, we got a lot to get to go over from the past couple days. Going to try to get through headlines here, and then we do, of course, have that interview coming up. E2open ETWO. Super excited for that. So up first, we have earnings from ChargePoint CHPT last night. So the company reported revenue $56.1 million. That was up 61% year over year. Network charging revenue $3.9 million, up 91%. They said that growth was significant in North America and Europe across all sectors, commercial, fleet, and residential. This beat an estimate of $49.06 million from the street. So that's a nice increase year over year and also a nice beat. They said that they have over 118,000 activated ports, including 3,700 DCFC ports. They also talked about some acquisitions, right? So they're acquiring an e-mobility technology company, Has to Be, and they also acquired eBus and Vera City. So wasting no time to acquire and kind of branch out into some vertical segments, which I really like here. They also introduced global fleet charging portfolio and announced seamless charging integration with Mercedes-Benz. Also, guidance was raised, right? So revenue in the third quarter, they see $60 to $65 million. And for the full year, $225 to $235 million. Previous range was 195 to 205. So that's a decent size increase. Also, you've got the street estimating $206.6 million. So the street was already in the higher side of that earlier guidance, but now ChargePoint hitting ahead of that with their new range. And then we are getting some analyst notes. So we have Needham maintaining a buy. They actually lowered the price target to $35. I'm going to dig into that report, find out exactly why, maybe the bearish call here after those earnings. Shares were up significantly today. They are falling a little bit now, but still one of our biggest gainers today, CHPT. Another analyst note out there, we have WM Technology, Weedmaps, MAPS, Truist Securities initiating coverage with a buy rating and a price target of $18. This is one we've talked about for a while, right? A cannabis thing behind the thing play. Getting some analyst love here. And again, we do have the story of possible, legalization on a national scale. So if you're looking at some of these cannabis plays, MAPS is definitely one to at least keep on the watch here. Then VLTA, which recently de-SPACed. Volta, this is a charging network as well. They highlighted the installation of new charging stations at AMC theaters in Georgia. Not a ton to take away from this, except again, you're seeing these charging companies really highlight and put their stations where people are going and where maybe they're spending some time. That's why Tesla's partnered with Target, and other retailers are adding these charging stations, right? It's a way for them to gain customers while people are charging their vehicles for a half hour. So AMC getting in the headline here with Volta. Soaring Eagle acquisition, SRNG, their merger partner, Ginkgo Bioworks, reported a new partnership today, Cambium Biomaterials, to accelerate industrial adoption of high-performance biomaterials. Again, Soaring Eagle, Ginkgo Bioworks, they're just knocking it out of the park, signing tons of partnerships. This is one that's definitely on watch for September, and it is one that I own in my portfolio. Nikola getting some headlines today, NKLA. They announced an agreement with Bosch Group for Nikola Class 7 and Class 8 fuel cell electric vehicles. Again, Nikola getting some news here. It is moving on that announcement. One that we talked about recently, SFTW Black Sky secured an investment from Palantir and entered a multi-year strategic partnership following a successful pilot project. If you tuned into our Palantir show, right, you heard all about these companies that Palantir has invested in and partnered with. And this was one that had a partnership but did not have an investment yet. And now they have both, right? An investment from Palantir and also a partnership. So SFTW, one to keep on watch. FTCV, which is merging with eToro, they announced today the new US CEO. So Luli Dimisi, she is now in charge of leading the US business. She comes from Ally Invest and also TD Ameritrade, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and Merrill Lynch. So a deep background of experience. eToro launched in the US in 2019. But remember, they're expanding to include zero commission stock trading later this year. Right now, they currently just do crypto and that copy portfolio. So new hire, it looks like US expansion is ready to go. We got a vote date set for STPC with Benson Hill. They'll vote on September 28th. And then over the past couple days, we did get some mergers approved. So we have CHAQ announcing their deal with Renovacor is now approved. Will trade as RCOR tomorrow. Only 24.3% redeemed on this deal. That's actually on the lower range of what we've seen. We have GNPK approved. Will trade as Redwire RDW also tomorrow. CMII approved. Will trade as SLGC. That's Soma Logic. CENH approved. Will trade as ARQQ. And SPNV approved, now trading as OfferPad OPAD. This one had 91.6% redemption. Saw a huge spike in the shares this morning. This was one I actually called out last week as possibly having the heavy redemption due to where shares were trading. And that thing took off this morning, has already given back all of those gains. You can see right there on that chart. But definitely one, if you were early this morning, definitely worth the trade there. And then lottery.com, TDAC, they extended their deadline to December 1st. And two recent rumors have now called off talks. So SLAM ends their talks with Panini after Panini lost the trading card license to Fanatics. And also VII ending their talks with Vice Media. So two SPAC rumors out there have now ended talks and go back to the drawing board. And of course, we're in September now. We'll get to that calendar later. August saw 30 SPAC IPOs raising $5.1 million. That was down 12% month over month and 49% year over year, but still hundreds and hundreds of SPACs out there looking for targets. That's what I've got, Mitch. A lot to get to there. And I know we've got that exciting interview to get to soon as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of the rumors there, interesting for sure. I mean, what we kind of expected this with the Fanatics one after they kind of just completely did a turnaround. And this is why you have to always diversify, I think, because you never know when the stories turn around, especially when it comes to kind of these acquisitions and if they're actually going to be acquired, right? Lesson learned in, let's say, Muds, and then now you're seeing Slam. Now you're seeing, I mean, the Vice Media thing kind of is kind of, I think, a good thing personally. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I don't think Vice should have been going public. I think they were trying to take an out, as they say. But hey, to each his own, and we'll see what happens with Vice moving forward. I don't think it's the same company that we saw, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago when Vice was really expanding, but I don't know. What are your opinions on Vice, Chris?
Yeah, I think we're going to see more media companies try to go public via SPAC now, right? We saw Forbes do it last week. So Vice has been in talks for a while. I don't know if this rules them out completely. Maybe they find a different SPAC to go public with, but maybe VII just didn't see the growth there, right? And then, Fanatics, interesting there, Mitch, that Fanatics now, they got the trading card deals from all those sports, and they actually knocked the wind out of 2 SPACs in the process, right? With Muds and Slam both. So 2 deals now called off on account of one company. So interesting move by Fanatics there.
Yep, just shows you. I mean, Fanatics definitely having some kind of lead there, some kind of competitive advantage. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get right up to our interview. Up next, we're going to get an E2. This is where we go ahead and unlock some SPACs. I'm going to let Chris run with this. And like always, guys, smash the like for us getting you the SPACs you guys want to hear from.
Awesome. So joining us on SPACs Attack today, another exclusive interview today. This is a company Benzinga actually broke some exclusive news with yesterday as well. So we've got a lot to talk about. Joining us on the show, we've got E2open CEO Michael Farlekas. That ticker is ETWO. Michael, welcome to SPACs Attack.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's dive right in. Before we get into, the company and we get into that acquisition, I want to back up for a minute since we are SPACs Attack here. Can you just talk, and share your thoughts on why E2open chose the SPAC route and, was an IPO also considered prior to that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We're a mature company. We've been in business since 2002, and we were owned by a private equity firm, Insight Venture Partners. And I think the big reason is that management, myself, our team, and Insight thought there was a huge opportunity in front of us. And as private equity firms need to, think about the returns for their LPs, this was an ideal opportunity because they could, accomplish that and participate in the upside of our business and invest more in our business. You see that happening with our, recently concluded, combination with Blue Jay. So I think it's because they felt there's a huge opportunity in front of us. We're a profitable company. We're growing, plus 10%, and they thought that was a great business to stay in, as opposed to them, selling to another private equity firm. This is a much better alternative for them to kind of continue with the business.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that background information. So now let's dive into E2open. For viewers who are not familiar with the company, tell us what E2open is all about. Before we dive into that acquisition, let's hear about E2open. From the CEO. What better source here?
Yeah, great. So our customers are the largest and most iconic brands in the world that are large scale manufacturers. The larger, the more global they are in retailers, the more they're likely to be our clients. First thing, we help customers make product and bring it to market and sell products. We're a supply chain software company, and we're not a real-time operating platform built upon a very large network. So what does that mean? It means that we help companies, make product through the manufacturing, transport it, sell it, and everything in between. And that's important today because companies are really trying to become more efficient and more agile as they want to drive value in their customers. So we help customers lower their cost of goods and help them sell more.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're seeing those pictures there. So let's dive in. Acquisition was announced with Blue Jay Solutions. That was announced as closing yesterday. So this helps, E2open. Walk us through the decision to acquire Blue Jay.
Yeah, so we look for opportunities to consolidate across functional areas of supply chain, and they are the largest SaaS provider of called transportation management. So helping companies transport products, the logistics, execution, and that's an area that we have some expertise in, but needed a lot more. So that gives us, we think, the best platform to grow in that area, combined with our solutions that involve demand planning, demand sensing, all the other parts of the supply chain. So it gives us a lot of heft in the execution part of supply chain.
Awesome. So, I read in the press release, I also wrote this article. It said that Blue Jay Solutions will expand E2open's network participants by 25%. Can you talk a little bit about how much more the TAM for E2open grows through this acquisition?
Yeah, I think it's significant. We already have a huge TAM We put it at 40 billion, and we think it's going to go up by at least 15 billion. So there's a huge opportunity, and more importantly, by ourselves in our own customer base, we have $1 billion TAM within our own customer base. So adding Blue Jay's clients, which increases our enterprise clients by about 300, and another solution allows us to increase that TAM of $1 billion within our own customer base significantly. So these acquisitions help us grow the combined business faster than either could grow by themselves. And the real reason is that we get to sell our products into their clients and their products into our clients. And in the supply chain software space, having existing relationships with a customer is very important and very valuable. Customers care a lot about putting these solutions in because they last a long time. Our top 100 customers have a 15-year tenure with us. So think about a 15-year tenure and growing. And Blue Jays would be very similar. So having clients that already use some of our applications means we can sell them all of our other applications more quickly.
Awesome. So, along with the acquisition, there was mention, that this is going to help expand the global reach of E2open. Can you break down a little bit of, maybe the country revenue percent, US and international for E2open, and will that change with this acquisition?
Yeah, we're about 60% US, and then the rest of the world, most of that being Western Europe. Blue Jay adds a lot of Asia and Australia in their portfolio in terms of their clients. So it gives us a much bigger footprint to operate from, especially in Asia and Australia and New Zealand, where they have a fairly large presence. So we just become more global, and we have more customers to sell to. So it's just really kind of the addition of expanding ourselves globally.
Awesome. So, one of the things we talk about a lot is, how the pandemic has impacted companies. Has E2open seen growth during the pandemic? How has this, impacted the business?
Yeah, like everybody, during the initial phase of the pandemic, everybody said, let's stop and see what's happening. But now as that, a more normal sense is coming in, companies are right back to trying to understand how they can adjust to supply shocks and demand shocks. And for that, they need more and more supply chain software. So we see our interest going, incredibly high, and it's getting higher in our buying organization. So it's transcending from a functional buyer, someone that's looking at transportation management, to more of a COO or CFO that are gaining interest in doing much larger type of transformations. And we're ideally suited for that. We have the broadest set of solutions, which means we allow ourselves to be right there front and center for the world's biggest brands to really reimagine and rethink how they want to have an end-to-end supply chain system. So the market has been defined by siloed functional products, and we're a platform. And that's really the biggest differentiator we have.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm loving that video in the background. You talk supply chain. We just saw some of it in action there, some of the different sectors that you work with. Along with the acquisition closing yesterday, the other big news from E2open was a raise in guidance. Something we don't see a ton of with de-SPACed companies, right, where you're able to raise guidance. Walk us through how E2open sees revenue growing more than that original estimate from this acquisition.
Yeah, it's just a strong performance in the business, and strong interest from our clients. And we're on a standalone basis. We raise guidance, and we raise guidance also as a combined company. Blue Jay is performing very strongly, and so are we. And we felt very confident in being able to raise our overall guidance as we think about concluding FY22, which ends for us in end of February. So we are performing well. The business is strong, and we think we're just getting started. So we see this as really just the next step of our business. We always had a very strong conviction into our strong revenue cycles, and we have a very strong forward visibility into our revenue. We operate on subscription, so all of our software is sold via subscription in the cloud, and on long-term contracts. Our contracts generally 3 years, annually paid in advance. So what that means is that any point in time of the year, we have visibility into 8, 9, 12 months ahead of what our revenue will be. And as we get larger, the deviation gets obviously very small. So we have a lot of conviction on our revenue guidance, and a lot of conviction on making our business grow faster as it gets bigger. So I think one interesting aspect of our business is as we grow and scale, we grow faster. And that's what happened over the last 5 years since we were owned by Insight.
Perfect. Yeah. You mentioned, the big takeaway there, right? You raised organic guidance and also, overall guidance through that acquisition. Before this deal closed with Blue Jay, how much attention were you paying to their business? And, you mentioned that they are growing as well. Did that surprise you, or is that something, that when you announced the deal to acquire them, you knew that, the huge growth was going to be there as well?
Yeah, so we know this business well. I've been talking to them for quite some time, and the logistics area and transition area is one of the more robustly growing areas of supply chain. So we knew that already. So we pick up some tailwinds there, and it's a great business. They've had that business for a very long time, and we know it well, and it's a hot part of the market. And we knew it was growing faster, and we just really thought it was going to perform well, and it has performed greater than we expected it to.
Awesome. So, obviously we talked a lot about this acquisition with Blue Jay. Walk us through, is there going to be more acquisitions for E2open? Is there going to be some time spent on integrating this? How much more M&A activity should investors expect from E2open?
Yeah, first and foremost, we're an organic growth company. We grow organically. We're above 10%. We said that. This year, we're talking about, we raised our guidance to be excess of 10%. It's important to understand the purpose of the combinations. The purpose of the combinations is to grow the combined business faster than either could grow independently. And we do that by having more capabilities and more clients on our platform, and really just focusing on how do we continue to penetrate our client base. Inorganic expansion has been something we have done. We've done 11 combinations prior to this. We obviously look at the market opportunities in front of us all the time. We are consolidating the space along function from end to end. That's our strategy, and we'll do that organically through new products, and we'll do that inorganically through combinations.
Awesome. Yeah, loving the insight here, from you. We are, a trade idea investing show. So, we talk SPACs. One of the things I've noticed with E2open is that really over the last year, shares have traded above that $10 level, which for a former, de-SPAC company is very important. How should investors judge your company, and how do you judge the success tied to the share price?
Yeah, we have a big company. We're meaningfully profitable, running the low 30s EBITDA margin. That's public, and we're growing. And I think the best way to think about our share valuation is just compare us to the comparables out there, and just line up our scale, our growth rate, our profitability, our EBITDA margin, our gross margin to the others, and you'll see kind of an astonishing difference in overall multiples. And I think that's how we think about it. So our investor base is in it for the long term. So are we, as management. We think we have a huge opportunity to really capture an astonishingly large market. There is no Workday or Salesforce or supply chain. It's extraordinarily fragmented. That lane is wide open. It's wide open for us. It's wide open for us because we have a predominance of the large clients. We have access to capital, and we have the world's best investors in our board and our cap table: CC Capital, Insight Venture Partners, Francisco Partners, Temasek, et cetera. So we just think we have a lot of open ground in front of us to continue to grow our business organically and inorganically. We expect and want to become the dominant player in supply chain.
Yeah, so we did get a question earlier in the comments, kind of talking about competition. So, since you just talked about it there a little bit, you mentioned a fragmented market. You don't have to name any competitors, but maybe walk through, some of the things that make E2open different, and possibly better than competition out there.
Yeah, so most of the supply chain software space we'll call it the best of breed area. We're a best of breed company. We have the best software with the greatest amount of functionality for the most complex problems. That's what we do. But most of our competitors do one thing or the other. So as an example, Blue Jay, great company, really did transportation management as one thing. We do 7 other things. we do planning, demand sensing, we do collaboration, global trade, etc. And most of our competitors do one thing or the other. And companies are forced a very hard choice to say, well, what should I use to do this one function? Should I use 5 different software companies to provide this end-to-end connected platform? And they literally have to go out and find 5 or 6 competitors. With us, we have not just an end-to-end solution, but we have a network on top of it. We've built on a network. And that's important because most of the activities big companies do, they don't do themselves. They don't make product, they don't ship product, they don't store product, they don't sell product. It's all done through partners. We connect to 270,000 partners around the world, where we bring data from the real world to application natively. We're the only company that has that broad footprint and a network. That's what makes us very different.
That's some big numbers that you just threw out there. In a fragmented market, I think that's important. And also, that I think that's why this acquisition was so important for the company. I know you probably share that same sentiment, Michael. So another question we got here from the chat. I don't know if you want to take this one, but we have Solar up here. What is E2open's attitude toward blockchain technology? And does it see that technology affecting its long-term outlook and planning? Any comments on blockchain?
Sure, absolutely. We know a lot about it. Blockchain is a technology solution that authenticates a general ledger. Is really what it does. It uses authentication of a blockchain technology to support a general ledger. E2open is essentially a general ledger company. That's how we operate our business. Blockchain is one of the technologies that's out there to authenticate use. We do that now through kind of existing methods, and we've done that for 20 years. But we're very interested in blockchain as another alternative to authenticate users. We also think that there's a growth area down the road, but it hasn't really proven out to be as useful in very specific use cases for specifically supply chain. We are interested in that. I think one of the things that we're interested in is payments, where we think blockchain could be very valuable.
Great. Thanks for answering that. Great question out there, Solar. Michael, before we let you go, anything else that investors or potential investors in the company should be looking forward to from E2open?
No, first of all, thank you very much for having us. And I think for us, it's a matter of really understanding that we have a large business with the most iconic brands in the world, and we grow through expanding within our own customer base. That's really very important, and it's actually the most efficient and lowest risk way of growing our company. So we've announced guidance. We're super excited about that. We'll be coming out in October, mid-October with our Q2, and we're super excited about telling everybody about that as well.
Awesome. Well, since you said it, do we have an exact date on that quarter? You said October. Is that date nailed down or still in the works?
It is. I don't know if it's nailed down yet, but it's generally in mid-October. It'll be coming out shortly in terms of our announcement or our earnings date.
Perfect. Well, you guys heard it here. We've got October circled on the calendar for earnings from E2. Remember, they just raised guidance as well. Again, joining us on SPAC Attack today, Michael Farlekas. He is the CEO of E2open, that ticker ETWO. Michael, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us on SPAC Attack.
Chris, thanks so much for having us. Have a great day. Be safe.
Thanks, Michael. All right, you guys heard it here. Another exclusive interview here on SPAC Attack. This one was a de-SPAC company that we've got a lot to look forward to, right? They just completed that acquisition yesterday. You heard me say they raised guidance, right? And as I mentioned, and not to be negative on the SPAC market, but we've seen a lot of these de-SPAC companies either cut guidance or not issue guidance anymore. And here you have one that is raising guidance. Mitch, what did you think of that interview there in E2open?
Was interesting. One of the things that is Solar, I think that was a great question to ask, always looking at what can be next, not necessarily what they're doing right now. Innovation, right? I mean, that's what we want to be hearing, because what does that do? Is it always gives the push on the growth side of the business. Now you have a view of how the business is looking. It's always good to hear about some new things. I'm going to be paying attention to see what we get during the earnings. It's so important, the first report, I think, for these SPACs to kind of, definitely beat the expectations, because that's the main thing that we're seeing, right? We talked about it versus when a company goes and does its earnings. Are we going to get surprises, or are we going to be looking back and being like, we're nowhere near the numbers that they put out? This is the biggest thing. We'll definitely be paying attention to see what we get out of ETWO. All right, the chart shows definitely some good holds, so I'll definitely be paying attention to that. As we know how important the $10 level is, this stock went up towards 14, came back towards that $10 level and held really well. Now back up there towards 12.50, and we'll continue to watch E2open.
Yeah, I mean, great interview, great company. I'm looking forward to following the progress, and we're going to get earnings in October, Mitch, so we'll have more to talk about with this company, soon. So definitely on the watch list. And yeah, I like the fact that it did hold that $10 level. As I said, it's had a nice 1 year of staying above that level.
All right, we'll keep watching this, and definitely, Solar, we'll keep an eye out for when that lockup calendar kind of comes up. We'll let you know. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into the next section of the day. We're going to talk a little bit of some monthly charts. Wanted to bring up some charts for us. Three are really standing out to me. I think you got to let the month kind of play out a little bit, but I wanted to do a little bit forward-looking approach here. You know how we've been talking about the monthly candles, looking for green to start showing up. First one's first is QuantumScape. QuantumScape, one of the things that I'm seeing is definitely starting to get more of a sideways trend, right? Sideways. We had this quick dip, but quick recovery. That's looking good. Let's take a look at the monthly. What am I seeing? I'm seeing a Harmy candle here, and that's interesting. I could use that low, go off of 1912, start looking at this as an approach for it to come back at least towards this first green bar close here. You can take a look here, and that would be, we're talking about 47. So let's see if we can get back up there towards 47. That would be a monster move on up for the month. And I'll be looking to see at least a break through 30. That would give us a bullish engulfing look. Let's see what happens in QuantumScape. What are you thinking, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a note that it recently hit below $20, and that was the first time in 9 months that it had been that low. And it held pretty well, right? And it's coming back up. For me with QuantumScape, I think this is a great long-term one. I think we need to get some news out from the company, right? As far as the story goes, aside from the chart, I'd like to hear more from the company on how that battery technology is progressing. And I think maybe that can lead to some more excitement and get this thing back up.
All right. We'll definitely pay attention to QS. One of the things is this is a stock that made a big move over 100. So, I mean, this is massive pullback. So if we can even get it back halfway through this chart, I mean, I know a lot of people that will be loving to take that approach. We'll see what happens in QS. Next up, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at PTRA. That's my next one I want to look at. Let's take a look at the monthlies. The weeklies have a little bit of a bottoming action there, but the monthlies showing what? Another Harmy candle there, showing us potential reversal here. Big thing is getting through that high. It has a wick there. The high is 1258. So that's what we need to see on a push up. And we want to see big volume come into that push through $12. So let's see if we get a lift through 12 in the next couple of days and PTRA starts coming back.
Yeah,
what do you think about this one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many EV SPAC deals out there, right? And not all of them are going to be big winners. And Bank of America recently called Proterra its EV pick, right? They gave it a buy rating of $15. I still think Proterra is going to end up with lots of bust deals. They do have a relationship with the U.S. government through some of their executives. So I think that helps with the story. It did dip down below $10, but it is coming back up. This is one that I've been bullish on for a long time. I continue to like it going forward, and great call out on the chart there, Mitch.
Yeah, it has a nice turnaround there at 962. That's kind of like the low that you got in November. So that's kind of the area that I'd be looking. I'd be looking for this one to make a move back up towards 14. We can get strong at 12. Definitely you can look a move up there towards the 14. That's PTRA, Proterra. All right, next one up is a product company more along. I'm just loving the chart and how it's holding since we pushed from the 10 is B Fly. B Fly, let's take a look at this chart. You can see the kind of action here. I think it's stuck in this of a bear trend. So you can look at this kind of action. And I think we're heading towards that $14 right now. Is it going to get past that level? I'm not entirely sure, but let's take a look at the monthly. What are we seeing? And what do I always like to see, guys, is monthly supports holding well because that gives you a good risk to return there. If you look at the support right here from that November candle, look to the right. Look how that's holding very well. One crack through it. It came back kind of close towards it, bounced off. This one coming right back to that and now holding well. Big thing for me is it just holds $10 now, and you'll start looking on the bullish side. You can see this quick reversal from 10. Nice bullish engulfing, really starting to push on up there. Now can it get through 14 so that the next stop from there would be up to 1650s? What do you think about this one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who's watched this show for a long time knows that I love the technology that Butterfly has. I was surprised to see this thing come down below $10. I had a limit order in and just missed out on getting filled. So I have no position in B-Fly, but I do like the uptrend here. I want to see more order numbers from them, right? Mitch, that's one of the things we talked about. You know, great technology, but they're replacing legacy technology. And that's not always a good thing, right? Because, yeah, your technology is better, but also there's a cost involved. So hospitals have to spend money to bring in that technology. So, you know, hospitals, do they have the money for it right now? How willing are they to make the switch over to this new technology? So that's something to watch as far as orders go and adoption. But again, I love the technology. I think over time, great adoption rate, but I just wonder how quick we can get there to match the story.
And like I talk about always, guys, I always look for 3 attempts of the stock to break the support. You see it here in May. You see it here in the 2nd of August. And then right here on the 16th of August, trying to break down that support of 979 or 980s multiple times. Then a turnaround. Why do I like that? Because that just shows swings of the reversal. Once you get that swing of the reversal, you're just looking for the volume to follow through the push on up to resistance. So it's looking good to me. I'm definitely going to keep B-Fly on watch. I think we could head towards 14. Once we head towards 14, of course, we're going to run into a little bit of selling that was probably in this level and this level. But from that point on, if we can get towards the next level, which is 15, a very important price point because it's this bottoming action here, then we can start getting back into these patterns that we had back in, let's say, March or February to November timing. We'll see if B-Fly can really start moving. I like the chart there. All right, that's probably going to do it for monthlies that I want to point out. Is there anything that you want to point out, Chris? Maybe something you're keeping on watch to see if it can turn monthly?
Yeah, I'll call out some of the big names I'm watching in September, right? We went over the calendar the other day. I'm watching SFTW, right? I talked about that at the top, right? They were partnered with Palantir before. Now they get the investment from Palantir. Remember that this company has the backing of Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir. Now you get the investment from Palantir. He knows this business well. They're going to complete that merger this month, right? I'm watching to see once we get the changeover, once we get the new ticker, once maybe we get some comments from the company, can we get some momentum into that name? We aren't seeing, you know, these huge above $10 prices anymore until after the merger is completed. So that's one I'm watching. And the other big vote I'm watching is September 14th. We have Soaring Eagle, SRNG, merging with Ginkgo Bioworks. This was actually not only a large SPAC deal. I wrote recently about the top 5 M&A deals in the U.S. in the second quarter. This was one of the top 5 deals for the entire U.S. Stock market in the second quarter. It's a huge deal. With that, it means it will take a little bit more to get shares to move because there's so many shares and it's got a large valuation. But I think once people understand this business and all their partnerships and sectors that they're in, we can see some valuation call outs. And maybe once we get some analyst notes, that can help as well. The other big story, Mitch, we of course have talked about is sports betting. I do like the fact that Genius, GENI, is reporting earnings September 8th. That's circled on my calendar, right? I know you're watching it as well. I can't wait to hear their earnings. I can't wait to hear what that NFL deal means for them. They're entering more states. They're signing more sports betting partnerships. They're acquiring companies. I mean, they have so much going on, and we're going to get that major catalyst this month with earnings. So I'm looking forward to hearing, from Genie. What are you looking at on Genie right now, Mitch?
So I've been talking about how we needed a couple closes above 20 to give us that upside look, and that's exactly what we've gotten in the last couple of days. We were talking about it on this day, the 31st, where we got above 20, but I said be careful because we didn't close above 20, right? We wanted to close. So we started to see the close here at 2051, then close 2052. Now we need to close above 20 to keep that momentum pushing, because you kind of have this uptrend, right? And so you start seeing this uptrend. You don't want it to come back towards this line. Back towards this line is towards 950s, $20. So we want to see it just continue to push and get towards the next level. What's the next level, you say? Hey, well, just look at the chart. Where does it point to? It points to that 2150. And so let's see if it gets on up there through 2150s with the earnings and then closes above 2150, giving us the upside look to get back towards the all-time high, which is up there towards 25. Those are my levels to look at now. 2150 could be a good price target. And then from there, 25 would be my next level up.
Perfect. And before we get to ticker time, guys, drop those tickers in the chat. Mitch, the other two that I'm watching are two in the sports betting sector. We have SEAH, which is Supergroup. This one, I don't know if we're going to get a run until they complete the merger, right? They haven't gone much above $10 prior to the deal's closing. Supergroup, they do have a little bit of a relationship with the NFL. The merger partner here, Sports Entertainment, they have Eric Grubman, the former number 2 with the NFL. Could we get some NFL news this season? And then also they have the NHL deal, which will kick off after the football season starts. So I still like this one, but I really think we're not going to see shares go above, much above 10 until we get that deal completed. But I think it's definitely worth watching. And the other one also that has not completed is AUS. AUS is WinBet. They're not only grabbing Shaquille O'Neal to be a brand ambassador. I don't know if you saw this, Mitch. They have Ben Affleck now in their commercials along with Shaq. So they're spending a ton of money on advertising to get their brand out there ahead of the NFL season. I like both of these because they're still right around $10, and I think there's room to run once they complete the deal and get the new name and ticker. What do you think?
I'll tell you what, they definitely look like they're trying to set up for a push. Whether that's going to be a long-term push or not, they look like they're trying to. And one thing that I've stated about gambling that I expect is that I expect a little – so the way that it looks on the seasonality chart is more a pop into September, a little bit of a pullback, and then a push into October. So this is the same thing that I'm looking for, right? We've had the major names start the pop. They started the pop, right? And now you're looking for the laggard play. Where's the money going to go to? Maybe it goes to these smaller names in gambling while the big names take a pullback. And then you'll see for the continuation move, do the big boys keep pushing through their highs? That can give you a signal that maybe I need to pay attention to these laggard plays. I don't think it's a bad approach. One of the things is you got months to go off of here. So like, let's say AUS, 986, good line in the sand. You got months that it touched that and it just bounced off there. I mean, you could look it here in May. You could see it right here in August, and you could see it here on the 23rd. That's what we want to see, guys. Those turnarounds are good turnarounds. It gives you levels to go off of and at least an ability to measure your risk, which is what you have to do always as an investor. Look at this weekly on SEAH. Look at the sideways action. Look how it came back towards that support, held that 980s, really giving you that balanced look. And what do we get now? We also get the approach that I always love, which is support tries, right? Support tries is what we want to see, because once we have those levels, at least we have something to go off of here. So now I definitely could see this one pushing up, and it just needs to hold above 10, do a couple closes. Let's say maybe make a candle up to here, start closing in this area. That's what we want to start seeing, some sideways action. And then eventually you could see that big push towards like the resistance. Let's say 1050 would be a nice big push on this stock. Let's see if we get this one to start rising. That's SEAH.
Perfect, guys. So smash that like. You just got some chart action, some story action from Mitch and I, the great 1-2 punch, right? Showing you different ways to approach these SPACs. It's ticker time. Mitch, I'm going to hit this one first. We have a question here from Pau. Do you have any news on FTCV merger? Yes, eToro, FTCV, they filed with the SEC. That was their last step before the vote date is announced. So I would expect any day now we're going to get a date vote from eToro. And as you heard me say, that U.S. expansion looks like it's on track. What do we got next, Mitch?
All right, keep this one on watch. I do think this is a good one. Been waiting for the switch over and holding 10 multiple times there. That gives you a nice level to go off of also. Let's keep going. Now, what I want to do is in the chat, I know that you probably want a little bit more in depth, but there's so many tickers there. I want to run through as many as we can. We're going to go with a 1 bullish, a 2 bearish. You guys join in also in the chat. Yes, I said it. Join in, smash that 1 or 2. What are you thinking? Don't let it, don't go crazy. Just real quick. What are you thinking when you see the charts? All right, let's go ahead and we're going to run through it. First things first. Let's go. NGCA.
I'm a 1. I'm a bull. Virgin Orbit. Space.
All right. For right now, I think hang tight until you get the next space wave. For right now, I think it could come back towards that shadow, which is 970. We'll see what happens if it does come to those levels. Next up, CLOV.
Yeah, it used to be a Barra too. I'm 1 now. I like it.
All right. Well, what do we need to see? A lot of the times is monthly support. And look at this. Sideways. When it goes sideways. All right. Better day. All right, let's keep going. SoFi is holding well right now. Let's see if it held the support today. I did like it on a daily chart. Let's take a look here on the daily. You see this multiple action down here by this 14. I do like that look. You got 1 attempted break, 2 attempts break, and then right here, Harmy candle at 31st. Tries to break down below it and then really quickly recovered that. That's looking well now, looking to bounce back. Maybe it tries to get back towards that shadow right here that it broke down from. It needs to get strong at 15. Let's keep going.
I got bad news if you were going to try out for American Idol. It looks like Born to Be Free is saying stick to stocks. So I enjoy Mitch's singing.
I was going on I wasn't an American Idol type. I would be more like America's Got Talent.
There you go.
Or maybe The Voice, but
yeah.
I mean, America's, I mean, whatever. I can hit up Kelly Clarkson. We can sing together. Let's keep going.
Let's keep it going.
SPFR. What are you thinking, Chris?
I haven't even looked at this chart recently. I'm bullish on the company. Charts just looking pretty sideways the last month. I'm a 1.
I think this one needs to have one of those moments where it just does that quick dip and then comes back above 10. I'll be watching for moments like that. Next up, SPCE. Trent saying having a good day.
Yeah, SPCE had a good day today. It got some news out. I'm a bull. I'm a 1. They're going to have more flights coming. More news.
Well. What do we see here? Monthly supports holding well? I won't even say it. I'll just keep moving on. Next one up, GM. Nope, not going to talk about it. MTTR.
Yeah, MTTR I like too. What is that one doing? 16. It's had a nice run over the last month. I don't know. I'm probably a 2 here.
All right, you got multiple resistance in the same area, 1650s, 1655s. You can maybe even pull it down closer towards, let's say, 1624s. Needs to get to 17 right now. Whenever you see these attempts, right, the same way we look at it on the downside, we're going to look at it on the top side too. So 1 attempt to break out, right? 2 attempts to break out, and then you just got a wick to break out. What do we need to happen from here? It needs to break out. If not, you're looking at a move back down to support. Next up, let's keep going. IPOF. IPO, I don't know what's going to happen. Let me just say that.
IPOF, Mitch, it had a spike yesterday right at close. It got some love. It went over $10. I don't know if you saw. Look at that volume coming in. I'm a 1. I think maybe someone knows there's going to be a deal soon. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his Twitter, he did mention something like they're working on stuff, and then people just starting the rumors. That's what I think happened there. One of your favorites here, TDIC, Raymond.
Yeah, I didn't love hearing that TDIC extended that vote to December. I was really hoping that this one was going to close soon. I do love the long term, but ultimately they own sports.com. I would have loved to see it get closed before, some of these seasons. So I'm a 2 right now, but a 1 long term.
All right, I'm going to take a second here because we're over 344 people watching, only at 78 likes. Give us a like, guys. Come on. Do you see how many stocks we're going through here?
So many tickers, so many comments.
Hey, we could choose to just go through one and just talk about stocks that we like, but we want to do this for you guys out there. So do us the favor, smash up that like. We need at least 150 likes. If not, Chris and I are in danger for the SPAC attack. We got to keep SPAC attack going. The best way to do that is to support us with a thumbs up. Let's keep going. Let's get into the next stock being mentioned in the chat. I did see this stock move a little bit today, so I'll mention it for you, Brian. DM here, DM. Desktop Metal is getting a little move up today. What are you thinking, Chris?
Yeah, I'm a 1 on Desktop Metal. I mean, I really think this thing bottomed out below 750. I like it, and I think we're headed back to 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at that 850 mark, multiple resistance there. I would love to see a quick pullback to 850 so that I could take a shot in Desktop Metal. Let's keep going. Smash it, smash it, smash it. Amen. That's what I like to see, guys. Support the team. That's what I want to see. All right, let's go. What else we got before we get on out of here? I got about 1 minute left. I want to do 1 or 2 more stocks. Chris, what do you got? Do you see anything there you want to talk?
I see this one that's got a bunch of tickers. I'll hit on Body.
Jake.
BODY. There is a rival to Peloton and Beachbody. I forgot the name, but they own Nordic Track. They're going to go public via IPO. I think we're going to see a makeup trade in valuation on Body. So I'm watching the Body chart. I'm a 1 right now on Body.
All right, guys, I think I'm actually going to start taking a shot on Body. One of the things I'm starting to see is multiple actions to try to break down. And this is actually kind of doing almost a bullish engulfing. This is a bullish engulfing candle, but really not a strong one, right? It's not like the Body closed up here. But this little turnaround candle, you actually got a Harmy right here, which is an actual good sign, because it looked like it wanted to come back and test that low. Instead, what does it do today? It breaks through that high. So I'm going to be looking for some pullbacks in this name. Where could I see the pullbacks come into? I'm going to be looking for somewhere for 750 to hold. So let's look for maybe a 775. But the big thing that we need to see here is the volume follow, because the volume isn't following. So we need to see a big step up happen tomorrow for me to feel bullish in Beachbody.
Yeah.
All right.
In the chat, Conroy saying iFit. Mitch, that's the company. iFit going public. They own Nordic. They're going to go public, I think, at a $7 billion valuation. Beachbody, 2.3 billion market cap right now. I think we got room for a valuation makeup there. Great show, though. An interview, headlines, and ticker time. Everybody smash the like on your way out. Stay tuned. Power Hour. What else, Mitch?
Like always, I mean, we do our best for you guys, trying to get to the most information and interviews so that you guys can be the informed traders in the SPAC industry. Can't stress it enough. There's too many traders out there that don't know this industry. So if you guys have friends or you know somebody that wants to learn a new industry, send them on over. This is the show. This is the one and only, the SPACs Attack. Coming up next, you got the Power Hour. Don't miss it. This is where the hype meets the stock. I saw a person himself trade and call out a trade on Netflix. So maybe you might hear about it on Power Hour. Stay tuned, guys. We'll see you next time on SPACs
Thanks,
Attack.
everyone.